Mr. Chairman, let me start by addressing Ms. Tin Pei Ling's question on the government's efforts to support businesses by streamlining regulatory requirements. The Economic Strategy Review Committees have engaged many business leaders to gather feedback on Singapore's long-term economic strategy. Many business leaders here and abroad have emphasized the importance of Singapore's reputation as a well-governed, stable place for doing business. Our clear and consistent rules and laws are a competitive edge for us, especially in today's uncertain global economic environment. Besides the ESR, I'm also part of the Interministerial Committee on Pro-Enterprise Rules Review chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister, which oversees efforts to improve regulatory efficiency. MOF agencies are strongly supporting the Interministerial Committee's efforts. For instance, Customs is considering extending the validity period of certain licenses from 3 years to 5 years, so that businesses need not review them as frequently. Customs is also shortening the time for businesses to obtain some licenses to within 30 working days, so businesses have greater certainty in their planning and operations. ACRA will consult businesses and the audit community later this year on whether to exempt more small enterprises from having to audit their financial statements. This will reduce their cost burden and improve cash flow. While we do want to keep compliance requirements proportionate, some regulations which balance between business and consumer interests require a little bit more careful consideration. So, for example, Mr. Kenneth Tiong asked if IRAS can review the concession for F&B establishments and hotels to display prices that exclude GST. The purpose of this concession is to simplify processes for establishments that impose service charges, which includes both F&B establishments as well as hotels. And this is because service charges are variable and may be waived or reduced. This concession has been in place for the last 30 years, and it has become the accepted norm. Making an industry-wide change will require such businesses to incur additional costs when the industry is currently facing cost pressures. Nonetheless, we will review this in the future to take into account technological improvements as well as business and consumer preferences. Mr. Edward Chia and Mr. Sean Low suggested that the government review the frequency of the progressive wage credit scheme payouts, citing how annual payouts may result in cash flow constraints for smaller businesses. MOM annualizes the PWCS payouts because the wages of workers in the progressive wage model sectors can vary throughout the year. Smoothing the payouts on an annual basis ensures that we provide sufficient, fair, and consistent support to companies that are implementing wage increases to uplift our lower wage workers. So it's not a technical issue, it's a policy issue. We nevertheless recognize that smaller businesses face cost pressures and cash flow constraints, which is why we have provided the corporate income tax rebate and cash grant to support more companies in this year's budget. Ms. Tin Pei Ling asked about the ASEAN single window, and I managed to hear all of her cuts before the mic cut her off. The ASEAN single window enables the exchange of documents for cross-border trade across ASEAN member states. The onboarding of ASEAN member states to the ASEAN single window has reduced paperwork, shortened clearance times, and improved predictability and transparency for traders and exporters. This has facilitated trade by reducing cross-border friction. Singapore chairs the steering committee for the implementation of the ASEAN single window. We are now exploring ASEAN single window 2.0 to strengthen interoperability and to expand electronic trade-related document exchanges to partners such as China, Japan, and South Korea. And this could include adopting standardized technologies that allow for more types of electronic documents to be exchanged. And these improvements to cross-border clearance processes will make it even easier for businesses to use Singapore as a launchpad to grow and expand internationally, in line with recommendations from the Economic Strategy Review. Mr. Saktiandi Supat and Ms. Tin Pei Ling asked about how the government can help businesses catalyze innovation and enhance processes to be more productive. We encourage businesses to use more technology to increase productivity. For instance, SMEs that do not have large back-office teams can digitalize their processes to reduce paperwork and errors. A recent study by Deloitte estimated that using digital invoices can save small businesses up to $20 per invoice. To support this effort, the IMDA launched Invoice Now, Singapore's e-invoicing network, in 2019. Today, over 63,000 businesses are on Invoice Now. One such business is Interior Design. By using Invoice Now, this business can automatically issue invoices and populate accounting records without having to spend time on manual data entry. Many businesses and trade associations have given us positive feedback that they were able to reduce invoicing errors using Invoice Now. And for businesses with overseas operations, cross-border B2B transactions will also be easier through Invoice Now, as its underlying e-invoicing standard is internationally accepted. For these reasons, the government has been nudging more businesses to use Invoice Now. We provide newly incorporated businesses with 1 year of free Invoice Now services. Since 1st November 2025, newly incorporated companies that voluntarily register for the GST are required to transmit invoice data to IRAS via the Invoice Now network. Such companies have benefited from faster GST audits and refunds. As more businesses come on board Invoice Now, the network benefits and efficiency gains will only increase further. And so, in consultation with the Singapore Business Federation and other trade associations, we are now ready to take the next step to push for greater adoption of e-invoicing. We will require all GST-registered businesses to submit digital invoices to IRAS via Invoice Now by April 2031. And this will bring on 90,000 more businesses to the Invoice Now network. We will do this progressively. We will prioritize the onboarding of smaller businesses so that we can support them better in their transition. First, we will make a suite of Invoice Now-ready software solutions available to businesses free of charge. Second, we will provide new cash grants to defray the operational costs of adopting Invoice Now-ready software, up to $1,000 for smaller companies and up to $5,000 for larger companies. More details on the timeline and the support provided will be released by IRAS and IMDA. Turning to personal taxes, Mr. Saktiandi Supat asked about reviewing the $20,000 threshold for personal income tax exemptions. While the personal income tax exemption threshold has not been changed for some time, this threshold should be seen together with our overall system of tax rates, tax reliefs, and rebates that applies to all individuals. Under our current system, 1 in 3 resident workers do not pay any income tax at all. And among those who do, about 8 in 10 have an effective tax rate of less than 6%. So I'd like to reassure Mr. Saktiandi that we will regularly review our income tax system to ensure that it's progressive and resilient, and that the tax burden is kept low, particularly and especially for middle and lower income. Mr. Ng Tze Suen suggested providing tax credits to recognize our NS men and caregivers. As Mr. Ng pointed out, we do have various tax reliefs in place to recognize NS men and caregivers. To complement the tax reliefs, both NS men and caregivers are also eligible for cash grants and credits. Cash grants and credits are administratively simpler and more progressive than tax credits, which are tied to payable taxes. For example, we provide up to $18,500 in life SG credits and top-ups to CPF and post-secondary accounts via the NS Home Awards for operationally ready NS Men. And we also have provided one-off NS Life SG credits in 2022 and 2024. Caregivers can also apply for the home caregiving grant to defray the cost of caregiving. We will continue to review the support provided to NS men and caregivers, whether through tax deductions, cash grants, or other means, to recognize them for their contributions and sacrifices. Finally, Mr. Victor Lai spoke about strategically leveraging Temasek's global investments to create more opportunities for Singaporeans. Temasek's mandate is to deliver good, sustainable, long-term returns. Their returns contribute to the annual budget via the net investment returns framework. As a principle, we want Temasek to operate on a commercial basis and to optimize their returns. As Mr. Lai acknowledges, the government does not prescribe specific areas of investment or dictate Temasek's individual investment decisions. Nonetheless, Temasek is indeed a valuable partner for the government in our economic growth strategies. And we work together whenever there's an alignment on the three pathways that Mr. Lai highlighted: identifying strategic areas for investment, growing our local champions, and developing Singaporean talent. Mr. Chairman, in an increasingly competitive global landscape, being pro-enterprise is essential to Singapore's continued economic relevance. MOF is systematically improving our regulatory environment to reduce compliance costs and to respond to business needs. We will continue to closely partner businesses, industry associations, and unions to maintain Singapore's position as one of the best places in the world to do business. Thank you.